Hi. If you are looking to stay relevant in your job, stand out, and generate demand for who you are and what you do, stay tuned. Don't leave.
Welcome to the Sanity Project podcast, where you can awaken your mind to clarity and success even in today's life challenges. We're here to provide insights and solutions that will help you live a sane, healthy, and prosperous life. Here's your host, Joanne Victoria.
Hi, this is Joanne Victoria with a wonderful guest today who I've been having so much fun off mic with, and we're going to try to be serious now, but I don't think we're going to be able to pull it off. And her name is Sima Dahl, SIMADAHL.com, Sima Dahl. Sima Dahl has initials CSP, AS, and MBA, is an international speaker and branding visionary who will revolutionize the way you think about generating demand for yourself and your business. Her experience as an award-winning marketer provided the foundation for the sway factor, a set of groundbreaking personal branding strategies that empower professionals to stand out, stay relevant, and be in demand. Well, there's another part of this bio, but I think once you hear Sima Dahl, you'll know what it is. So welcome to the show, Sima Dahl.
Joanne, we were having so much fun chatting that I didn't realize I never gave you the correct pronunciation of my name.
Oh, is it Dahl?
No, Dahl rhymes with shawl, but my first name is pronounced Sima, like similarity, or Sima down now.
Oh, okay. So it's Sima Dahl.
It is, and it looks like, you and 99 out of every 100 people, you write it just like it looks. But, that's my story. I'm a Sima.
She's simmer. She doesn't simmer. She boils. But whatever you want to own there, Sima Dahl. I'm sorry. I should have asked. It just seemed like an easy way to pronounce your name.
And it is. And I spent, my entire life on earth since I learned to speak fixing it. But, it's uniquely me. And I didn't love it when I was little. But now I'm just Sima Dahl. Like, eventually I want to be just Sima, up there with all the other one-name brands.
Well, you do it when you say Sima Says. I like that on your Instagram and YouTube and your social media. So I read your story on your website, which is grand, everybody. You have to go to it, simadahl.com, SIMADAHL.com. And before I forget, she's got some free downloads of inserts of a book, 2 books actually. So you go to simadahl.com /resources /, and you will see 2 books. And if you sign up with your name and your email address, you can get downloads of portions of the books that Sima wrote. And I wanted to make sure that happened. So did you start marketing at a young age? Did you have a lemonade stand on your street or something? What got you on this path?
I love the question. I didn't have a lemonade stand. I did sell a whole lot of Girl Scout cookies, though. I can tell you that. I was a classically trained marketer, fresh out of school, and I graduated during a depression, which one I won't go into details, but a long time ago. And I really had difficulty finding a job, and the only job I could find was in a marketing department, not as a marketer, as a secretary. And I really struggled in that first job. I didn't, so many young people today have internships and they're more familiar with a corporate setting by the time they finally get there themselves. But, I waitressed summers. I didn't know what I was doing. And I quickly discovered that I was short-sheeting myself by not being able to talk about, who I was and my aspirations, skills that I had. And sort of lightning struck one day when I asked if I could have business cards. They weren't in my job description. And almost as an afterthought, I said, and when you print them, would you put my title down as marketing assistant? And it's the same job function, really.
Right.
The language we use to talk about ourselves is so powerful. I think from that very first job out of school, I've been learning how to build a personal brand. And today it's my extreme privilege and honor to teach people how to do the same.
That's amazing. That's amazing that you did what you did, marketing assistant. Because you put in categories at a young age, and as you say, today the young people are taken through the levels. You start here, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, and then of course you own Microsoft. But it doesn't always happen that way. Women still have to push to get ahead. So how do you help people to know who they are? I mean, who's your most recent client? Don't name them. But I mean, how do you work with people? That's the best question, Joanne.
That's the best question. Well, I before I answer that, if I may just comment.
Absolutely.
The larger the organization, the larger the enterprise, the more difficult people feel it is to stand out and make a name for themselves, to get noticed. And I get hired by these companies because they want to keep their top talent. And when somebody resigns and says, well, I couldn't get ahead, I couldn't get anywhere, so I'm taking another job somewhere else for, greater responsibility and certainly usually greater pay. And there's a lot of head scratching going on. We didn't even know you were looking. We didn't know you weren't happy. Who did you tell you were ready to take on more responsibility? And so that, career management at any age, young or mid-career, or, now we're working longer than ever, it really isn't taught in schools. And so I'm teaching people how to manage their career or build a personal brand to generate referrals, drive sales. My last corporate client was a top 1% insurance company, and I spoke to their sales force, essentially. I mean, call them producers, call them brokers, call them whatever you want, but they're in it, right. Experts, right? And generate and close leads.
Yeah, people forget when they don't want to say the word sales. Sales is all we're doing all the time.
Exactly. Of ourselves or our products or services.
Anything.
Exactly.
And people, I don't want to be in sales because that's different kind of people. Well, you are that different kind of people. We're all in sales. We sell ourselves all the time to everyone. That's right. And you have to get over, the biases that you may have on certain words because it's not going to work anymore.
I love when people say, I'm an account executive. Well, if you're me, with a 20-year corporate career in marketing, you hear account executive and you think, maybe brand manager, maybe you work ad agency. I don't instinctively think account manager, account executive. My favorite was a high-tech company where their salespeople were called opportunity managers. And I don't know how the heck I'm supposed to figure out that you're actually in sales, let alone, introduce you to the right people who need what it is you do, if you don't even make it clear when you're telling me what it is you do for a living.
Yeah, and I also want to mention, I used to be a member of the National Speakers Association up till several years ago, but Sima, Sima,
well done,
is one of just 12% of speakers worldwide to earn the Certified Speaking Professional designation, which is the CPSP at the beginning of her bio. Sima Dahl, CSP, AS, and MBA. And only one of 88 people with an Accredited Speaker designation from Toastmasters International. And she is one of just 3 women in the world who has earned both designations. Take that, world.
Well, that just goes back to my days in Girl Scouts where I'm chasing down those badges, Joanne.
Oh, that started a lot of people on a lot of paths into the corporate world, either teaching the corporate world or owning the corporate world. So
and the lines are blurring, right? Teaching and owning, and I like to think of everybody sitting on a chair with wheels, and you kind of wheel up to a project or an assignment or an opportunity, and you push back when you're ready for something else. We really have so much more control over our career than ever. And yet, people really don't know what to do with that opportunity and that freedom. That freedom to let others know what you're good at and what you want to do.
So, do you primarily work? How much of your business is speaking, professional speaking, and how much of your business is consulting in corporations? And how much time do you spend in medium-sized or startups? Which do you like?
Interestingly, yeah, I worked 13 years in high tech, and when I started my business in it's been 12 years, so 2008, 12 years this month actually, people kept pushing me towards high tech startups because I was well known in those circles as somebody who could take your marketing department from 0 to 60, right, in a matter of 90 days. But startups don't yet focus. They're not ready to focus on personal brands as business drivers. They've got too many other plates spinning. So I do work with small companies. I work with multinational, large global enterprise. And I do a tiny bit of executive coaching with a select handful of clients that are really driven and committed to affect, a measurable change in their career trajectory. So, it might be that I'm on stage in front of 40 high potential leaders at United Airlines or 250 salespeople at a global technology company. Whether I'm in a corporate training environment or I'm on a main stage, every time I talk, I feel like I'm giving a mini keynote. Right? I'm supposed to be transferring knowledge, but the best way to learn is when you're having fun. So I'm a little bit animated, as we might say, which works really well in front of an audience, not so much when I was a corporate marketer.
Right. No, audiences, when you have groups of people, we'll call them an audience, but when you have groups of people together, they need to loosen up, lighten up, and have a good time before their body and their spirit is open up to receive information.
Absolutely.
If they're shut down, they're not going to receive or get anything. They need to be open. It's like the musical scale. You just do the musical scale and the entire body is open. And the same result occurs when people laugh.
Yeah, really, a belly laugh is the best laugh.
Absolutely. So tell us about sway factor.
Well, I'd love to tell you the story of how, I used science and research to come up with that name. Unfortunately, that never happened. It was the back of a napkin in a bar with a buddy, as most great ideas come about. But I wanted to somehow capture the idea that you can increase the rate with which you're presented with opportunity. You can behave in such a way that you're a magnet for, the bluebird to fly in your window, sit on your lap with the perfect job, the perfect sales lead. And that's your job. Like you said, we're all in sales. Everyone's their own chief sales officer, their chief marketing officer. And we each are these days a brand. And people don't understand yet. I don't think it's readily understood yet that your personal brand, when you're employed by someone else, serves to strengthen that business brand. It serves to lift up the employer brand. These days, business brands are such a large part of what makes them successful is the people. And I can't go online and look for a job without seeing everybody who's going to be in the department I work for. Or, if I'm having issues with customer service, I'm going to go look that person up online and put a face with a name and see what the issue is. So we've got to drop down the facade, drop the walls, and open the kimono and really embrace the intersection of a personal brand, a business brand, and an employer brand. And I like to think my clients are forward thinkers in that regard because they're ready to use that advantage to outperform their competition.
So if you are advising, whatever manner you use to do that, at an employee of an organization to create a personal brand within the context of the business brand that they work for, is that a personal brand with some adjustments that they could take anywhere with them?
Yes, absolutely. It is exactly what you said. And your personal brand is yours. It's your gifts, your talent, your expertise. And you choose where to share and how to apply that. If you're an expert in a category, in a skill, you're a ninja, right? Mm-hmm. That's your credential. But the people who doing business with you when you're in someone else's employment, the employer benefits from your credentials as well.
And so if, for example, someone goes to work for a company and they bring their Ninja brand with them and it's not recognized and or appreciated by the powers that be, obviously, in my opinion, they didn't have their correct conversations prior to making the decision to work there. And that's a difficult thing today because there are some only large companies have a step-by-step process to hire people. Google, Amazon, Microsoft, they take a long time to hire an individual because they have to fit in the culture of the team. Well, different companies have different perspectives, but Google, for example, my most recent familiarization, shall we say, they have levels and they hire you based on how you will fit with that team, not with the company. So I find that extremely exciting and interesting, the way their approach is. And their approach is, got about 8 levels, and they're all deep. And I find that people who are working for small companies should do that as well. They should interview with the person that they're going to work for, interview the team that they're going to be involved with before they think of accepting the job.
All right. So yes, and I have 2 points. Okay. The first is much of that happens before somebody even applies for the job. So the companies you referenced are well known, the Amazons, the Googles, but oftentimes a company's employer brand either serves to attract people into their talent funnel or detract or deter you. So if I'm going to apply for a marketing position in your organization, you better believe I'm looking up the marketers I'll be sharing office space with. Mm-hmm. And either they look like people I want to sit side by side with and grow with and learn from, or not. And then the next trigger is once I get the job and I think it's time to coast. So yes, we've had the right conversations, but now I get inside and I think my reputation precedes me, when in fact that is something you have to continue to build and maintain and put out there. Imagine the example where, Microsoft acquires yet another company. And so
okay.
The people in those companies are acquired, and all of a sudden they have new colleagues and new coworkers who are, what are they doing? They're looking them up. I will never forget the first job I had for a really large global software company. And I'm on my very first global marketing call. And I'm on LinkedIn while I'm on the call, looking up all the other people on the call. And what are they doing? The exact same thing, because one by one, I'm getting connection invitations. And back then we didn't have Slack or other, company approved instant messaging. So we all connected with each other on Facebook, so we could use the chat function to talk about one another on these global calls. I mean, really, it was that digital footprint was the way people first got to know me and understand me. And so either, I'm making a good impression online and then I'm shoring that up through my behavior, or I'm not. There's really no middle ground.
Okay. I hope people are listening to this, as I advise people on every podcast that I generate with the wonderful guests that I'm fortunate enough to have. Please re-listen to the podcast, because what you think you hear is not always what you hear, and you need to take notes. And I know the first time around, you may not be taking notes. So re-listen to this podcast, listen to what Sima Dahl has to tell you, because she's an expert. She's certainly an expert with the sway factor. She's certainly an expert in helping you generate and stay relevant and stand out and generate demand for who you are and what you do. If you're doing it on your own in a small business, or are you an entrepreneur, or do you work for a large company and you want to stay there and grow? Even if the company is huge, you're always going to have a place there if you do the right things. So let's talk about... So you travel from Boston to Budapest, as they say, Budapest.
Right.
So how is it training and teaching people in Europe?
Well, well, you already know I'm a badge seeker. I'm already also a passport stamp seeker. So I always make a point to let people know that, I'm an international speaker, which is fancy for I have a passport. I want to see the world. So I love speaking in foreign countries because it's an opportunity to learn the culture, bring a little bit of the American mindset with me as I go. From a tactical standpoint, everything has to move more slowly because, no matter how versed they are in the English language, there's always sort of an instant translation happening in the brain. Maybe one word well, and the other two that followed, you have to quick, go into your mental dictionary, your mental translator. So, a slower approach with the language often means either A, cutting down the content, so it's the right size for the time allowed, or getting more time with the audience. But I love meeting people from around the world and understanding the nuances, what makes us different and what makes us the same.
Yes, I think you're correct on both counts. I personally like to watch on Netflix, and Prime Video, foreign thriller series. And I am fond of Nordic foreign thriller series. And so I watch as many as I can if they're good. They're not all good, and they're better. But I must say the sense of urgency is not in their culture.
No, and it shows up in their marketing. So I worked for another software company headquartered in Sweden, and they would create these global campaigns, and you'd get your materials, and the language, the copy would be so soft and polite. Like, if you're available and you have time and interest, might you stop by our lunch and learn? Where here in the States, we're like, you can't miss this,
right? So. I think that's one of the most frustrating things about watching those types of shows is their lack of sense of urgency. I watched one recently, and it was about a police force. They didn't move. They talked slowly. I think it was Danish. This one was Danish. And I've watched, Norway, Sweden, Denmark. I love the ones from Finland. But everybody, they move slowly. Nobody runs. Nobody walks fast. Nobody talks fast. Nobody acts fast. Everything's got to be discussed. So if they're going to be discussed verbally, it's going to be discussed in, copy, as you're saying, in the marketing aspect. So, and you think that just either limiting the content or having smaller groups, that was your second?
Getting more time. I mean, you either share less because you're speaking more slowly and debating, more intimately.
Yes. Or
you need more time to cover the same amount of material. But there's something wonderful about slowing down.
Yes.
You come home and you're feeling more relaxed, more centered, and then in a matter of days, at best, a week, you're back to the same crazed pace we try to keep here in the States. So as often as I can, pop out of the country and take a breath I love it.
Yeah, it is interesting, and I get mine vicariously through Netflix, and thank goodness for them. So I want to again tell people to go to Sima Dahl, SIMADAHL.com to read everything about her, because it's a good read. Or go to simadahl.com/resources/ and you will see 2 books that she has participated in. And if you give her the information she asks for, you will get downloads of those. And what else is there?
There's also a 5-day email sequence at no charge whatsoever to do some self-reflection and shape and strengthen your own personal brand. And that's just to sign up off the homepage, the 5-day Sway Factor Challenge.
The 5-day Sway Factor Challenge, which Joanne will probably sign up for as soon as this podcast is over with, because I'm still not, I'm not swaying anybody yet.
Well, you swayed me, Joanne. It's been an honor to be part of your show.
Well, I appreciate you being here because it's been fun before and during. And again, listen to this, audience, and also go on Apple and give Sima Dahl 5 stars for the show because she deserves it, and because I said so, and because I said so. And Miss Joanne does not like to not be taken seriously. And what besides taking your 5-day email test? We'll call it a test. What can people do right now? How can they think about themselves differently today? Are there lists they can create? What can they do? One task that they can do right now to help them be heard.
You know, as common as this advice may sound, I still to this day work with the smartest, brightest, most driven people to fix, and I do mean fix, as in repair their profiles on LinkedIn. And so I would like you to Google yourself and just your first name, your last name. If you don't easily find yourself, add the company you work for or the state you live in. Your LinkedIn profile typically is in the first 3 search results. So anybody, before I return a phone call or respond to an email with anybody trying to sell me something or get my time, the first thing I do is Google them. The second thing I do is review their LinkedIn profile. And if it looks sad, tired, and anemic, well, then you can guess what happens next. I really encourage people to make the best possible first impression online. And remember that people you met a decade ago will go back to your profile to come up to speed with what you're doing these days. And so it's a living, breathing sales document. It's not a tired, static resume. And that's how I want to experience you when I find you there.
Yeah, update it frequently, people. It doesn't matter. You could update it every day. It doesn't really matter because different people are going to watch it all the time. And that is a great tip. It's a great tip. It's beyond a tip. It's a strategy. We've elevated it to a strategy.
Get there.
Get there. I want to thank you, Sima Dahl, for being here today. It's been wonderful. I've enjoyed your topic. And first of all, I had to enjoy you first because you could probably sell anything. And you have. And I want to thank my audience for listening as well. And we hope that everybody has a great day and onward and upward. Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Sanity Project podcast. Please go to AskJoanneVictoria.com to listen to more podcasts. Check out Joanne's coaching programs and get a free copy of her report, 5 Steps to Achieve Life-Work Harmony. That's AskJoanneVictoria.com. Take care, and thanks for being here.